Welcome to the last session of the day. We have a really exciting panel discussion. It's a session that I've been looking forward to personally. So, it's a session that's going to focus on startups, what makes startups successful, how do you go about starting up. And joining me today, I've got two distinguished guests. Let me start with Wilson Bright. He's the co founder and CEO of BlockSurvey. And then we have Kshitij Dixit. He's the co founder and CEO of Zio. Both these gentlemen have had their own trials and tribulations, their own challenges, and they have been really determined in terms of making their startup successful. Starting up sometimes, of course, that itself is not easy, but then sustaining a startup and helping that grow, scale, become successful, hire people, create a culture, that sometimes is more challenging. So we're going to cover a whole host of topics in this session. And I thought a good way to start is by asking both of you to, maybe give the audience some context by telling them a little bit more about yourself. Why don't you start, Wilson?
Hello, everyone. Really glad to be here. Thanks for the invite, Amit. My name is Wilson, founder and CEO of BlockSurvey. My startup journey started way back in 2017. I was just going to participate in as many hackathons as possible, and we were exploring crypto and blockchain, and it was trending. So I did come to know about Bitcoin way back in 2012. Always had a passion to know about what is decentralization and what is Web3 and how it can bring a change in the digital space. And it all started from a simple hackathon. So we went there, hacked for about 3 nights, and then we launched BlockSurvey. I think that's how it came into being. And yeah, I think the rest is primarily about staying in the game and moving forward. I think that's how we are today. And what we are today is it's about a long haul, which we have taken over the last 5 years.
Hello guys. Hi. How are you doing today? First of all, I wanted to ask who all amongst you actively follow Indian startup scene? Like how many of you want to do startup of your own, or some of you are already doing it? I just wanted a quick show of hands. Nice. So you already have a lot of interest with Shark Tank and all. I think a lot of students are now interested in doing something of their own. And in the long run, even if you are working with a large company, it's kind of that mindset that helps you do good in life and even professionally. So I'll quickly start with my own journey. I launched, so we run a startup named Zio Route Planner. It's a route optimization tool for courier drivers. So am I audible? Okay. So courier drivers who deliver to hundreds of addresses a day, they need a sequence in which they should be delivering to save on time and cost. So we optimize the routes for them. We started in pandemic when a lot of drivers were delivering for themselves. Right now we have over 1 million drivers using us across 140 countries. We raise funds from Y Combinator, which is one of the largest venture accelerator in the world. And we have been profitable ever since. So we have grown to a team of 45 members and trying to go to the next level from there.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for giving us some context. And both these gentlemen have been, very reserved, I would say. They've actually accomplished a lot more. They've actually had experience in the industry. Both of them have come from really fantastic institutes. So they've had some good grounding in terms of education. So having that domain knowledge and domain expertise is really important. Everyone's journey is different. Someone may want to join a company, someone may want to start up. And India is a great place to start up. We have so many problems that can actually be solved, that they present themselves as business opportunities, right? So I wanted to ask you, if there's a student out there that has an idea, how do they go about testing or validating that will this idea work? Will I be able to launch a product or solution with this idea? Will I make money? Any guidance you can give them?
Yes, certainly. To start with, if you have an idea, right, it's about executing it, right? So if you imagine any idea, probably if in this context, say you're willing to create a game, all right, so you create a game and you wanted to test it. How would you go about testing it? Firstly, you have to like playing that game day in and day out, right? So that could be one criteria. And you can ask your friends to test your game. Would they enjoy playing that game, right? That's one way of testing. It's a simple, an idea. You create a game and then you test. If your friends like it, and if your friends share your game to their peers, right? So it's more of a virality kicks in, right? So that's a quick way to test it, right? So show to people. So once you have an idea, build a simple prototype and show to the people or show to the world, right? And if you see it in Twitter, even if you have an idea, validating an idea, you have hashtags called as build in public, which is primarily you go out there and put your idea out there and validate it. So I could see when we started from hackathon, we didn't know whether it will work. It's just an idea. It's a hypothesis. We assumed a lot many parameters. Will it work or not? So that was the time when we created a BlockSurvey, which is primarily an alternative to Google Form. So there were questions. Why would you create another Google Form? What is your USP? Why should I use you? Right? There were plenty of questions. We knew it. People will care about privacy. Few businesses will care about privacy. That was our assumption. But how did we validate? Is when we put it out there. That's when Black Lives Matter rally happened. So George Floyd was taken down. People were hitting the streets. So people started using our tool to RSVPing into rallies. So that was one validation. But would that hold good for every time? No. Right? So right now we see for activism, there is one vertical we found that it could work for activists who care about privacy and security. So it's about validating is primarily putting it out there. So if you have 10 ideas, go out and execute it, right? All the 10 ideas, few may work, few may not work. But that's a way out. So build it, put it out there, and quickly test it. If you can do all this in a quicker span, right, in a week or two, that's good enough, right? So it's more like creating a startup every week and finding out whether there are adopters for your idea or not. And you can also read about Mom's Test. So I learned a lot from that book. I did create multiple products before, but none of them picked up. So this is primarily, this book tells you how to find your audience, how to interview them before validating your idea, right? So even if you have an idea, you can go out and validate it by asking right questions to right people. So you can read about that book that has a ton of wealth of information on how you can validate an idea. It's called as Mom's Test.
Would you like to add to that?
I think Wilson has covered a lot of it. Like most of the points that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Like first is validating the idea. That is very important. Building a quick MVP. Like as he mentioned, if you can build something in a week or two and test it out around your friends, obviously show it to your mom and see if she understands what you have built. And then quickly figuring out if it is working or do you need to move on to the next product. So a lot of time we spend like 6 months and a year just building, pushing through it. And founders are very attached to whatever they are building. They think that this is the next idea. But we should be very iterative in our process to understand that whether our idea is working or not. Should we move on? Are there already existing competitors? How large is the opportunity? Overall, the market sizing and stuff like that. You should do that exercise beforehand, even before starting up. Because a lot of times you are into the journey and then you figure out maybe it's not a large market or it's something that you're building that nobody needs. So for you to understand that beforehand and then work on it is definitely important. Now, in our case, for example, like as him, I also launched multiple products, and in founders' life, that's a given a common. Like unless you are like someone who gets it in the first time, you generally try out a few products before some product hitting it out and getting to success. And that's also like relative, maybe like a 1 million drivers would be a success, but then you want to go to the next step. For us, we launched in the middle of pandemic. A lot of people, especially small businesses, were going online, delivering for themselves. And that is where we had put out a delivery app, and people started using us. We iterated on their feedback and then continuously improved the product. And that is where we got the product market fit. And that is where we were talking about this keyword that a lot of you should know. The word product market fit is to understand, is there a need of your product in the market, and then go around building. So that's my.
Thanks. So that's great. At least we've got some starting point. We know what we need to do if we have an idea, and it's important to have maybe more than one idea. It's important to have that curiosity to test that idea and see if it works. Not every idea will work, but the ones that do can actually reap you a lot of benefits. So let me ask you one more thing. Many times when students are starting, they may think, should I do this alone? Do I need a co-founder? So I wanted to actually ask you to talk a little bit about that. Some people joke that finding a co-founder is even more important than finding a life partner. But how do you know if you need a co-founder? And if you feel, okay, I do need a co-founder, what should you look for in a co-founder?
So yeah, as you mentioned, you end up spending a lot more time with your co-founder than even with your partner. Like, you're working 10 hours a day, you just go home and sleep. So lot of times, like in a 10-year journey, you spend a lot of time, and you want that person to be in the game as much as you are, to build a large organization. And your working relationship matters a lot. Like when things are going great, like it's all hunky-dory, but like when things start taking downturn, and they will definitely do, like sometimes you are on the wave up, but a lot of times it doesn't work out well. So in those tiring times, how good a relationship you have with your co-founder, even with your teammates, definitely helps. And like I went through YC. YC recommends you having been worked with your co-founder for at least a few years. So they generally don't like people who are have met just like in 3-4 weeks time and then just decided to start up. So ideally, someone whom you have gone college with, or like if you are working in an organization, you have worked together for a year or two, you like the chemistry between you guys. That is the person that I would think is a right fit for a co-founder. And even more so, you should have like a complementary skill. So someone might be a good business person. You have to find person who is good technically if you are into like deep tech or tech startups. If you are doing D2C, you need someone who has a very good like marketing skills, or he is good with influencing, social media, stuff like that. So you should definitely have complementary skills. As to like the founder, the CEO part of it, someone who is good at fundraising, someone who is good at hiring people. So those are the skills that you are looking for. If you are a technical founder, find someone who's good at networking, meeting people, getting them on board, showing them vision with investors and with friends, both of them. So that's my take.
Why don't you also add to that, Wilson?
I think Kshitij pretty much touched upon how you have to find a partner, right? It's a long game. Like you're getting married to your co-founder. I know my wife keeps joking me. I think the last 5 years, the time I've spent with my co-founder is much, much greater than with my wife. So yes, I think if you're looking for a journey, right, for a really long journey, you have to find the right founder who can tag along with you, right? So in all your ups and downs, you can look at qualities like are they transparent? Do they trust you? Right? I think the sense of complete openness, like an open book, sharing your vulnerabilities with them, right? So that you know you're in it for together, right? So more like a family, right? So even your early employees who would join you have to have that sense of openness. But given that today I see there is a change which is taking place. Many times you don't need another founder to join you or to tag along with you. So there is also a culture called as indie developers, or also called as indie hackers, which is primarily if you have an idea, if you have a conviction to it, if you wanted to go out and execute it, do it independently. Feel free to try it out. So don't wait for someone to tag along with you, be it for emotional support or any other support, right? So look for it. If you have an idea, don't sit on it to have another partner. All you have to do is just go out and execute it, put it out there, see if it works. If it doesn't work, move on to the next one. Maybe down the line, you may find a co-founder or another partner to tag along. So in my case, how I found is, I remember starting up with my friend way back in my college time. So we had a simple idea. We wanted to start a tech magazine. So we wanted to execute it, but at the idea stage, we killed it. It's because everything moved to digital. So we wanted to have a print edition. It didn't work. Then I started working in few companies, and then I found my co-founder there at the last company. We worked for about 18 months so closely on the same project. Then we found out we were sharing ideas. We felt like we should go after this. We had complementary skills. Then we thought, okay, why not go out and start together, right? So that's how it happened. So it's both worlds. So feel free to explore. Sometimes if you feel that, okay, you are good enough to go out and execute it, do it. Right. Thank you.
I just want to ask you one more question to both of you, which is that you do require a lot in you to succeed as an entrepreneur. And I was hoping that maybe both of you could give a comment on what is it that students can do to better prepare themselves for success. The ups and downs may come, challenges may come, but from a mindset perspective, or even from some skills that they should have, what would you say?
Yes, I usually felt if I could reflect back on my school days or college days during studies, getting uncomfortable, right? So I think that is the zone I felt I should have operated more. And I had plenty of ideas. I used to have a swipe files, a simple notebook to capture all the ideas, right? So day in and day out, I keep writing ideas, but I didn't have a confidence to go out and execute it. Probably the ecosystem was not there. Probably the support system was not there, or I wasn't encouraged to go out. It's because everyone is picking up a job out there. I think campus placement comes in. Then you go out and work with few of these firms, but the sheer lack of confidence was not there. But then now with the opportunity, what we see, the support system, what we have, ecosystems, right? Even I see there are a lot of incubators at universities right now, also accelerators, or also even funds who are encouraging entrepreneurs to get started right after their studies. I feel it's about taking those opportunities. I know it will be uncomfortable, but if you put yourself out there, if you're uncomfortable to execute it, being shameless or being vulnerable to tell your ideas, right? So sometimes I was even hesitant to share my ideas with others. Okay, would people laugh at this? Or there might be 1,000 questions I may not be prepared to answer. That's totally fine. So I would say just being uncomfortable, being vulnerable, it's totally fine. If it doesn't work, it's fine. And failure is also fine, right? So if you get started as early as possible, then you're good, right? You're always staying up in the game. So in 2-3 years, you would know this is how it functions. And then you know that there is nothing more to learn. So you would have a faster learning curve and you'll be able to build any startup down the line, right? So that's a learning, more like a life skill. You will learn it to run any business.
Yeah, same thoughts here. Like one very important thing is to continuously keep learning. So wherever you are, like even in your job, like what are some skills that you can pick up and then later apply in your startup journey? And then second, as he mentioned, it's important to start early. Like as you progress in your life, the responsibilities, the kind of expectations that people have from you, always like keep increasing. So if you start right in college or just after college, you have very little to lose. But like if you are at a like later point in your journey, it's much more difficult to start up then. So and then obviously learning. If you start right off college or like 1-2 years in your job, you have that experience of 2-3 years trying, maybe failing, getting a little bit of success. You know that you can apply all of this in your next product, whatever you build. You develop a lot of credibility in terms of the people that you work with. Maybe you have raised some funds. The investors know that you are a good guy. You know how to build product. Maybe in the first product you didn't get that success. Uh, Investors generally back people who have built something, even if it hasn't reached to the best of outcomes. So I would definitely suggest, if you have some ideas, try it out early. Maybe, as he mentioned, there are tons of incubators around these days who are like more than willing to put in like 100K, 200K to just get started. Y Combinator is doing like university tours these days. Like they are going to Harvard, they are going to IITs just to tell people, make them aware that okay, there's a incubator which is willing to fund them right after college. And then you just need a sustainable basic income to get started. That's what most people are looking for. So just build an MVP, go out there, see if your friends like them, you are able to get a little bit of traction, and then you can definitely raise some what seed and then go from there.
Sure. Thanks, Kshitij. I think that was a very good response. I think you've been a great audience. I'd like to give a small token of appreciation to our guest. And as of course, I would request you to stay back. We'll just take one nice group picture. Yeah. And we'll do it that way. Thank you.